Welcome back to Piano with Dawn. I hope you experimented finding your way around the keyboard and worked out where, for example, C is, and also where the lower notes are. Now, let's talk a little bit more about how we write music down. So far we've looked at how we write down middle C, D, E, F, G, and then we wrote them back down again. But what about if we want to start going up to our higher notes and our lower notes? Most of the notes that we'll play when we're playing the piano are going to be sort of within 3 octaves, okay? So roughly speaking, we'll probably go about as high as that and down to roughly about there or so. So the way our music's written takes that into account. So first of all, looking at going up higher. So just imagine we start at G, and this is how we would write this down. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then let's carry on up. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So you see we've got these little lines now, so because we've gone above our 5 lines of the stave, and these are called ledger lines. And we need those because obviously we've run out of space with our 5 lines and spaces that we have. So as we go up higher, we use these ledger lines, and those are how we write the notes going higher up. That's all fine. What about when we want to go down below middle C? Okay, so again, we can write it all in the same way, using ledger lines, but going down the other way. So C, B, A, G, F, E. Okay, so that's what it looks like if I write the notes down using the same ideas. You can start to see that we might have a bit of a problem recognising which note's which, because it's very hard when you're reading music at speed to figure out whether you've got 3 ledger lines or 4. So what we do is we change our clef to the bass clef. And this means that the notes that we're playing from down here fit nicely on our 5 lines and spaces again. So when we're reading right hand and left hand, we can easily see at speed what notes we've got to play. So our treble clef is quite good because those 4 spaces spell the word face. If we look at the spaces in the bass clef, we've got A, C, E, G, and people often remember that with the sentence, all cows eat grass. So that should help you to remember what notes you're looking at on your music. You can also do it by picking about 3 or 4 notes that you know where they are, and just very quickly as you're going along, if you're going up 1 or down 1, you know where you are. So that helps you kind of start to find your way around. So now we've got some idea of how we write down both treble clef and bass clef. Let's have a go at thinking about perhaps writing something down. I've written something down myself, but you could do the same and have a go at playing it. So really, once we've worked out where our starting point is, as I said, we're more or less, as long as the notes are near each other, we're tracing the direction with our hands. So this is my tune here. I'm in treble clef. So when we're playing that tune with our right hand, we would start on middle C and then follow the direction of the notes with our fingers. Are you remembering your little birds? So we've created a tune using the treble clef. But we've talked about the bass clef, so why don't we try creating a tune using notes in the bass clef? Why don't we stick with the same tune at the moment, but we're going to use the same letter names of notes, but obviously it's going to look different because we're in the bass clef. So these are the notes we're going to play. So when we play these notes in the bass clef, we have to start with our little finger, because if we start with our thumb, like we do with the treble clef, we can't go up any further. And you can see that looks quite different when it's written down. So it's worth this week practicing writing some notes down on the treble clef and bass clef and seeing if you can name them, or picking a note on the piano and seeing if you can work out how you would write it down in treble clef or bass clef. I would use middle C as your divider, so you've got your notes written in treble clef if they're higher than that, and bass clef if they're lower than that. Before you start playing your notation, have a think about what the notes will sound like in your head. That will help you get better and better at reading the music, because you'll know what direction you're heading in and what you should be aiming to sound like when you start playing it. So far, all the notes we've written down are worth one beat. And our one beat note is a good one to start with because it gives us our sense of the timing of the piece, or in music we call it our sense of pulse. So what speed are we going at? And if you think about it, it's like our pulse that we can feel, and that keeps going at a constant rate, unless of course we've been running or doing some exercise. But it's a way of setting everything out so that we can keep our speed the same throughout the piece. Have fun playing the piano.